a lot of times, like, it's hard to even give advice on this because what is the right way to say something to somebody?
Yeah.
Welcome to 2190's podcast, Asking for a Friend. I am your host, Nivea. Y'all, I'm about to introduce to you guys the brother I never had, Zo Filthy! Woo!
My sister from another mister. So question, do you watch P-Valley?
Oh, you know I watch P-Valley.
So you saw the new season, right? And it made me kind of feel like, I don't know if you saw the first episode where...
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Because of COVID, they turned the strip club into a car wash.
Right.
And I kind of feel like if you want to go to a strip club that bad that you have to go through a car wash, you might have an addiction. Me personally, that's what I think. If you have, because you saw Uncle Clifford and Mercedes and Haley, because COVID, it was restrictions.
Right.
They made it into like a car wash. And the guys would drive through the car wash and the girls would dance on the hood. And
really good point. Like, I feel like if we were in, world crisis, or still is, for the most part. And to say that you would still, like, whatever type of setup just to see some strippers.
But my thing is, if you go to a strip club, I would think that you obviously go to the stage, you see the women, you pull the money out, you have the fantasy. But what fantasy are you fulfilling if you are in a car and she's dancing in front of the car or on top of the windshield, like they're washing the car?
Well, I honestly believe there are levels to your attraction or addiction to why you may be into strip clubs.
Right.
You may be someone who's really into it. I mean, those women are so talented, and the male dancers as well. Right. They are acrobats, they're gymnasts. So some people are really like, wow, like how you would be for your favorite pianist or ballerina. Like, that's what you're into. So it doesn't, even though it's a sexual thing, I don't think sometimes a lot of people's addiction is primarily targeted towards sex. It could be literally the fascination of it, the entertainment of it all. So I think it's different levels to it. Of course, like, because it ties into porn.
I was just about to say, to me, they're running this thing. They're very synonymous because I feel like, can you be into strip clubs and not into porn? And then what is, like you said, it's not a sexual thing, but it kind of is a sexual thing, porn addictions and strip club addictions.
Right, but let me tell you this. I learn through different conversations with different friends and, my own experiences, but, I don't know.
That's what I was about to say. We're going to get to your experiences later. We'll get to that a whole nother time.
However, I know some people who can watch porn, like, just to watch it. Bruh, if you cut on, I almost said my brother. Well, I know someone that if you turn it on or they hear the sound of it, like, it's time to do something. Like, I don't want to just be like.
Who do you know that's watching?
I know a good little amount of people that want to watch porn. They'll watch it driving, like they're not touching themselves. They're not even being aroused. They're not turned on. Females and males, they're not aroused. They literally watching it like when you would watch a movie. But I want to throw me in here so bad.
No, we're going to get to you. But what's funny is,
let me tell you about me.
I feel like those people, to me, they must like the storylines. You know how the porn got the storyline?
No. I know people who they really can watch something sexual for the watch of it and not what I would watch it for.
But what I'm saying is like, I think to me, in my opinion, if somebody like watching porn, it's gotta have some type, like most porns have that they got that corny storyline where it's like the guy comes over to do the plumbing and then she comes up and she's like,
I can't stand that, by the way. I always fast. I'm never child.
But
I think now what I will watch.
We not talking about you. You always trying to no. No, but to me, I think I can't even say the end to the storyline because the storyline is very like.
It's never. Who cares? The storyline is not about it. I feel like people who like the acting scenes or whatever before when porn start are people who are really into foreplay, like in a way that's gettingmeready.com. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think of that.
Whereas me, I'm like, go on, put it in.
That makes sense. Well, it's probably more of a man that would probably be more into watching the porn.
It's both. I know women as well. It's literally different strokes for different folks.
I cannot.
Literally. And it takes all kind to make a world, like my mama said.
But I think, do you think that there is
YDH, bruh.
I know we said that they're synonymous, but do you think that porn addiction or being interested in porn and being addicted to strip clubs or interested in strip clubs, do you feel like you can do one without the other?
Well, I have learned in life, honey, a little bit of everything intertwines. But it still boils down to that person. Because I hate to do this. It's difficult not to connect my own personal experience and opinion about this particular issue. Because it broadened my eyes to not being, I guess, judgmental or assuming
Right.
someone was a certain way because they liked a certain one thing I knew about,
Right.
but not knowing the why. So
Right.
if I tell you mine, you'll see why I don't really tie the strip club with porn. I mean, I have.
Because my thing is, okay.
It don't, like when I'm in this, but I understand I'm not a male. So I'm speaking on watching a female and a male stripper.
Right.
Either one, even if I'm into your physique, like, wow. I'm not like, come on, bend me over right now. But I don't want to do anything. I just want to be like, wow, that's awesome. Or even if I'm like, you're sexy. Oh my lamb. Now I get how people can watch porn and not be turned on.
Why?
It's because to me, watching a stripper, male or female, is not turning me on.
But that like you said,
not.
everybody different, because to me, I feel like, and I could be wrong, the majority of people that are watching strippers, to me, the whole idea of a stripper and talking to strippers is like, it's the fantasy of you can have this, but you can't. And that's why a lot of men go there and have that fantasy that, oh, I can have that. I want to do that.
Well,
but then they go home and they have sex with their wife or their girlfriend.
Or not at all.
Yeah.
But what you have to realize is most people are aroused or turned on or heavily habitual of or addicted to
Right.
taboo things you're not supposed to be doing. Like,
Right.
ugh, that really gets people off. Like,
Right.
and I didn't understand it until I had my own experience with
That's
an
interesting.
issue with being rushed.
How do you know when it's a problem or when it's an addiction, though?
Ooh, interesting question. In my opinion, I feel like most of the time, or most people, you kind of know. It's the struggle with you admitting it to yourself.
Right.
Or, because a lot of times you don't have to admit it to somebody. I hate that. You need to say it. Like, fuck you. Like, I ain't got to say shit. I need to say it to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I can, be my better self. But I don't know. I feel like that's also dependent upon that person. Like, my sex drive might be more than yours. I remember talking to some people and they can masturbate like repetitively.
Right.
And not be exhausted or feel rather normal, like after
Right.
anybody else would after one time or one sexual encounter.
Right.
Everybody varies.
But I don't think
I feel like
because-
anything in excess, like, bro, if you're opening the bag of sugar and going like, gethelp.com.
But you know what
like,
it is, though? I think it's not. I think
Not
a lot
that
of people.
simple,
I
though.
think a lot of people. The problem is a lot of people don't think they have an addiction because in their head they didn't go take the sugar and drink the whole thing. In their head they're like, oh, I just had a tablespoon, but they don't realize that a tablespoon every hour to the point where now when it's time to go to work or trying to do something, you're irritated because you can't get to your little tablespoon of sugar.
That's true, but a lot of times people know they know they opening the bag.
But
They just don't want to say it.
Well, I feel like some people don't. Some people think like even into. It's always hard. I feel like to tell somebody to have an addiction because who are you to
Yeah,
tell
who are you to
somebody?
tell me? Right.
But in the same breath, like you said, I think it's just. I think a lot of us know that we have an addiction, but instead we try to make an excuse where it's like, let's say smoking weed. It's like, oh yeah, I smoke weed, but I don't spend $200 a day. I only spend $50 a day. Or it starts to be. But then you start to realize within yourself, like if you can't go without it, it's an addiction.
That's what I was just about to say. So I
Right.
feel like ultimately, addiction is when you are willing to do whatever, whenever, for that particular thing.
Right.
It becomes number one in your life. And whether you want to acknowledge it or not, even though you can't help it, if you walk past the mirror, you can see if something is harming you
Right.
or not. So that's just for you on your own time to face that music. And that's with any addiction.
Or some people feel like addiction isn't bad because it's not a drug addiction or because it's not a porn
Right,
addiction.
and addiction is addiction. You
Yeah.
can be addicted to too much news. Like you can watch
Too much social media, Instagram.
Oh my lamb! You can be addicted to too many. Like you can want too many frogs. Like you can be
Too many what?
frogs as pets. Like what if you had them? I'm being hypothetical. Like anything in excess is a harmful thing. If you had imagine a house full of frogs. I don't know. It just would bother me.
What?
That's what bothered me. I'm sorry.
Okay, so speaking of P Valley, if Mercedes was a friend if Mercedes was your friend, let's say she's your friend in your
I
head.
love Mercedes.
I do too. What advice would you give her?
Advice?
As a mother, because she's a mother, and she doesn't have custody of her own child because her grandmother, I guess, has that custody. And so she's stripping, to make the money.
I don't know. With Mercedes, what I've watched is in that character is that for me, it seemed like she is still somewhat always still quick to react. Like whatever, as soon as something goes, she ready to cuss the person out versus run out. If that's even really true or not. Now she's starting to she will initially react fast, but then be like, wait a minute, and try to figure out. Versus she normally would just ready to bust your ass. She didn't care if it was true or not. Right. So I would say to continue to grow and to trust herself.
And what does that look like? Because I think Mercedes thinks, because I'm a huge fan of her, I think that she thinks that she is growing and that she does. I think she trusts herself, but I think the problem is
sometimes she doesn't.
I don't think she allows herself.
She'll know something instinctively, and we all do. A lot of times, and we will ignore it, and we dang, I knew something told me I should have. I see Mercedes. That's the part of the connection I get from that character. I'd be like, wow, the intuition thing. And I know everybody's talking about intuition right now, but that's because so many more people are finally on the level and in the spirit of discernment and the third eye and all that, whatever you want to call it. Right, yeah. Which to me, I love it because all that is higher consciousness, so I'm for it. So I see that in Mercedes. She may have been one way, you've seen the growth in that character, and that's what I relate to.
Yeah, I think if Mercedes was my friend, I would tell her that she need to worry about getting them kids back. Because definitely, but I think that who she is as a woman, I feel like is great for the show because although she's a stripper, she still represents a lot of single black mothers who are not necessarily strippers, but doing what they have to do to take care of their kids.
You have to watch how life unfolds. I know this is a TV show. However, this was so realistic when it came to the point where her daughter overheard her and her sister and finding out that was her dad, all of that. Right. But her mom, even though her sister was doing whatever she was dealing with, Mercedes, she never told her daughter that story. Yeah, she did. And that wasn't revealed or heard by her daughter till she was at a certain age. Stuff be aligning in life. You be like, why did that have to happen because it did. That needed to happen for something maybe a day from now or 12 years from now, that's actually beyond you. Yeah. Because that was that was a lot in that scene. I was like, wow, the writing going off of people. I text you. Yeah. I text Zo. I said, you need to watch the last episode of P Valley. I did. With the wife. I texted for another reason too. That last episode. I'm weak. Baby.
Okay, with that being said, we have some social media questions from fans of the show.
Oh, my lamb.
They are very interesting. They're very right up your alley. Ashley asks, I'm straight, but I only watch lesbian porn. Is that normal?
Hell no. But what is normal? Right. Because I am not lesbian. I very much have and would enjoy threesomes with males and females, but I have no interest or desire for a woman one-on-one for whatever reason. Or even if a man just in a room looking, you'll swear I was about that life. But JJ, city, land, universe. But I'm not. It's literally about the sexual thing. And guess what? If I was ever in my next, and hopefully find a relationship, and he never wanted to do that, I would be perfectly okay with never being intimate with a woman again. But I'll be about it at the same, you know what I mean? But I'm not. So maybe not. Maybe her watching that is does something for her visually in the stimulation, but not something she actually wants to participate in.
Yeah, I mean, because she says she's straight, but she only watches lesbian porn.
Only is a strong word, boo boo.
Only.
You talking about straight? Only.
So the next social media question.
I think them blurred lines. I think she's maybe she's just curious.
So the next question is from Amanda. Amanda asks, my friend cut me off for calling out her man who only brings her to the strip club for dates. Is she wrong?
This word only is heavy on me. And I know a little bit about heavy. I don't like that at all. Why would you only bring me to a strip club? So what was the question? Should she leave him?
Amanda asked, my friend cut me off for calling out her man who only brings her to the strip club for dates. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, and God got to let her walk her path. Baby, go walk yours.
I think she's wrong. I think she should mind her business.
I don't think so. It depends on the way if she was disrespectful and was out of line, like, girl, your man don't care about you. All he do is blah, blah, blah. And first of all, you getting beat all up in the back of your head. At least that first, then we can make up later. I might have to get that off, though. You talking about me. However, if it was like, she was like, I mean, girl, you've been with Terrence. I had to make up a name. For 5 months, all he does is, and she tried her best to say it calmly as in a way of concern.
It's not your business.
I don't know. I'm with you on that too. Shut the fuck up.
To me, that's like now if she says that to her friend in a relationship, that's okay. But if the friend in a relationship comes back and says, "Oh, I think you need to stop being single. That's why you can't find a man," then
I changed my mind. You're right. Shut the fuck up. You shouldn't. You're my motherfucking business.
Yeah, because it's not like she's
if
saying.
I ask you, go ahead.
That's my point. Like, I guess my thing is, if you're dating a man and he only takes you to strip clubs, who am I to pull you aside and say, Nivea, he only take you to strip clubs? Guess what? You might like that. That might be your date night.
You can come to me on anything. I would say it to you.
So the next question is from Kenny. Kenny asks, how can I confront my partner who I believe has a porn addiction? Why is that funny on me?
Because I would just ask.
But he probably was. But you know what it is though? It's probably. I'm
just kidding.
Because I think it's the context of it is he probably done caught him a couple times and didn't know how to say it.
And then, like we were talking about before, a lot of times people are still, even though they might be into a plant fucking a TV, it's so taboo to speak outside of themselves to. Right. It'll people that'll take to the grave. I would never, and they're the main ones. Watching frogs breed with bees or something wild shit. You know what I mean? Why do the frogs keep coming out? I need to Google what frogs mean. Any hoodle bopper. I think that he should mind the way. At the same time, when you want to say something to somebody, you don't know how to say it. You think about what the words mean that you want to say. And you just find other words. There's so many. I think that's it's easier said than done. Because you want to, especially if somebody say, for instance, is very emotional. You got to be sensitive with your approach and all of that. So I get it. But the best bet for me, and I always say this, no matter how hard it is, even if I'm falling apart doing it, is to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, my advice basically would be to maybe approach it kind of humorously or to make so it's lighthearted, or even though a lot of times you should never say, oh, me too, when someone's expressing or when you're trying to get something out of somebody. But in that sense, when you're trying to get somewhat of a confessional or an admittance of some fucking sort, I can't talk, then you try to make light of it. And say
because you want them to be comfortable. I get what you're saying. Basically, what you're saying is if
you watch porn, right?
You don't want to go to them and be like, "I seen you yesterday. You've been doing it all week."
You don't want to shame anyone.
Exactly, that's what it is. Yeah.
You don't want to make anyone feel shameful, and that was something I was talking about earlier with my experience. I didn't make this person feel shameful. I merely was trying to calmly and simply not even make it all extra and then hey, what you be looking at, whatever, and It was
Right.
not received well. It was taken in embarrassment and shame. Even though I didn't approach it like that.
We'll get to that because I was a part of that, and I will say
I was a part of that.
I will say I would be ashamed too. Yeah, I don't think.
Oh,
we'll
no,
get to
no,
that.
no. You're talking about a particular
We'll get to that.
instances, but that's not the way I approached it. That was after the constant denial.
We'll get to that.
So now you got a raging bitch.
So,
That's
Kenny,
basic math.
Basically, Kenny, you need to be honest with your partner. Talk to them in a certain way that they feel comfortable expressing how they feel or what they like or don't like.
Exactly.
The next question is from Natasha. Now, this is a good question. Natasha came ready. She said, I found out that my husband likes porn stars that look nothing like me.
I'm sorry.
You ready?
I'm going to hell.
I'm a thin, dark-skinned woman, and I found his secret fetish for Asian BBLs. It makes me feel insecure. Should I talk to him about it? Should I be offended?
See, I believe this goes back to what we was just talking about, how it's different strokes for different folks. Dude may not want to be with a BB. What's it called?
An Asian
I'm so
woman
used to
with a BBL, right?
Whatever. Asian woman, but because it seemed like even if something, say for instance, it's you're like, who would do that? Why would you? If you felt like that about anything, but you were able to see that. And a lot of people sometimes, something you wouldn't do is so intriguing to you that it's a turn on in a way.
Right.
In some way or many ways.
Right.
It's like, wow, I don't know what it is, but I love watching the Fox and the Hound.
But do you think that...
I love the Fox and the Hound, by the way.
Natasha said it makes her feel insecure, but she's asking, should she confront him about it or should she be offended?
I don't know, girl. Because that could mean all his life he always wanted a BBL, whatever.
An Asian woman with a BBL.
Right. So
I think to me,
the world may never know. I'm just kidding. It goes back. I'm going to always say this. If you feel a certain way or you want to know something, ask. Straight up.
Yeah, because I think when she says it makes me feel insecure, to me, in my opinion, I feel like she's only insecure because she says she is a thin, black, dark-skinned woman.
She's saying she looks nothing like what his
She feels like she can't
is.
compete, basically.
Yeah, or no, not even that. I can relate to this where it's not even a competition. You're like, it's almost bewildering. It's like, why are you with a carrot if you want cheese fries? That's drastic as fuck.
Like these examples of cheese fries,
what?
frogs.
Cheese fries and a carrot. You know how you know what that tastes? Oh my lamb, the tastes are drastic.
But guess what? He might like carrots every day, and every now and then he like a little cheese stick.
Now that's true, cause I'm like that. Oh God.
Well, so speaking of that,
take all kinds to make a world. Quote my mama.
Now that's a word, but
it takes all kinds to make a world. It wouldn't be a world if everything and anything didn't exist.
You know what I love? I love that the fans that watch Asking for a Friend, they come with the best questions. Like, there was some good questions. But speaking of which, because you kept wanting to talk about your experience, and we know some, go ahead and give us your experience as to, like you said earlier, you said that you confronted somebody about a porn addiction.
Right. So, a lot of times, like, it's hard to even give advice on this. Because what is the right way to say something to somebody? If your intent so many times, you're coming from, how often do we hear, I didn't mean it like that. But that's not what I meant. I said that because, so it's a lot of times you can't explain your intent with the words that come out your mouth.
But what was your experience with it?
My experience was horrible. But that's also what's made me awkward in asking or giving advice for that question. Right. Because I came calm as fuck. Like I was not.
No, like you keep going around. Tell me.
Okay.
Oh, so I was dating a guy and we were dating for 3 years and I caught him outside in the backyard on the side of the house.
So it's telling
on the porch.
Okay.
Next to the dumpster, next to the trees, midnight, 2 p.m.
So this guy I was with for almost 3 years. He this is the thing. I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Disclaimer.
But I have to put my disclaimer. I don't remember a lot of things, but I remember what matters. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.com, I do. So I remembered a part of our initial even bond, bruh, was porn. So I guess he forgot later on when it transformed into just a friend that's banging to a relationship that I already knew that about you.
Right.
So when I bring it up, because I'm tired of leaving the room or you leaving and me hearing
Nivea,
that not
I
including
don't know
me.
why you don't want to be. No.
I'm not finna get that specific. Anyway, like I'm saying, things went
You
on
said
that
hearing.
I clearly heard.
What did you
damn
hear?
near saw.
Explain it here. When you said you heard, what did you hear?
I'm hearing, motherfucker. So I'm so
No, the foot. Remember the
so
foot?
in my head. First of all, I've been with you about 3 years now.
Right.
So if we've had sex, don't I know the sounds you make? Or not? Unless you don't make sound for 3 years.
But how did you find
Ain't
out?
nothing last over here silently in this womb area of mine. Any hoodle.
But how did you
Long
approach
story
him about
short,
it?
I made it fun. I was like, dang, let me see what you like. It was like, oh my lamb. This is why this was so weird.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
When we was on some friend stuff, we would watch together. Like I knew what you like. You even told me because this was the type of guy who knew their names. Don't get me wrong. I knew like Bella, some old shit, y'all. Like I'm older than I should have known. I'm not even old as what I knew.
Right.
But long story short, like. People who, when we borderline addiction, and I'm not being judgmental because I don't fucking know. Maybe it's not. Maybe that was just healthy to this person. They're not going crazy in the woods going, oh, Isabella from the point. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're not. But maybe they are. Who the fuck? That's on you, bruh. That's why addiction, honestly, all jokes aside, is your own self-awareness and coming to wanting to recognizing it's causing you harm.
Right.
Or affecting your any normancy,
Decision making,
or whatever the fuck you call normancy.
It's taking away your control.
That's subjective as well. So I'm all over the place. She's Skittles. Long story short, I feel like most of the time you know when something wrong, and honestly, I feel like when you don't know something wrong,
I feel like sometimes
you just wasn't tested.
But sometimes you know it. I think for me,
For knowing
this is what I was gonna get to. I feel like it plays a big part into
you was like it burned, but kept your hand on the fire when you was little.
But that's what I say. I think.
But you didn't. It's not. It's a lot of them that got through life even successful.
I think it
they
turned
weren't
them on,
brain
though.
scanned enough to be like, oh, you kept yours in the fire.
Right.
You got a little scratch now. You survived it, but something was wrong for you to want to.
I think they like
not
it.
Jump.
They
Where
like
your
sneaking.
reflexes
I
at?
think some men.
Where they hiding at?
I think some
You
men like to sneak.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I heard. I'm sorry. Like my mama said, what? Take all kinds to make a world.
But I think sometimes that's what turned them on is the fact
Everybody
that
here.
it's the fact that men, or not even just men. I feel like some people don't realize they have an addiction like that. I feel like they like if they tell you, "Hey, I like porn." I feel like it takes away the ooh for it. I think they like they like that going.
A lot of times with people who like to cheat. Like, I don't get that. I'm like, I'm grown, bruh. I want 800 of y'all, line them up. Pow, 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 pow. Or not. If I want to be a nut or dedicate my life, whatever. I feel like we do what you want.
Right.
But there is a thrill in getting that out in who they don't know. I'm really in the backyard face ass. It's really like, I feel like at the end of the day, what I said at first, taboo things or what shouldn't be, or when you break the rules, so to speak, or do what you're not supposed to do, that in itself turns most people on.
Right.
Like overall, at the end of the day, I think a lot of things boil down to the type of person you are, what type of time you're on, and, what do you want? Like, and do you feel like you have the right or you should want those things? Like, we deal with a lot of judgment of want and necessity, but I feel like a lot of times a lot of wants go in hand with necessity. Like, bro, I want what I want to make me happy. My happiness is a necessity because I was not happy before. So I feel like all in all, you have to look at yourself. Like, am I doing is this doing, you know when you're doing, if I'm drinking too much coffee, like, I'm sorry, even if I can't stop, you do know. Right. So the first step, I think, is checking yourself. And I feel like, we it's very popular to talk about right now, but it's true. We need to get back to ourselves via ourselves, like talk to ourselves and
just be honest
see
with ourselves.
who we are and be like,
Right.
you know what, right now, I don't want to do that. Or I don't like that anymore, even if it was just yesterday.
Right.
We need to be okay with change or bends and formation, because that's what I feel like it means to be human. And that comes across in this broad ass topic of addiction, because like I said, you can be addicted to anything, but in terms of this particular subject, I say to each his own, but you do need to check yourself. Overall, I feel like you just got to be true to yourself and be honest with yourself. Like, see you and check yourself. Easier said than done, but it's necessary. Like, it's you're staying stuck wherever you are in that space forever. So you ready to come out of it.
It's like you, as a man,
life
looking in the
don't last
mirror and you
forever.
see your flaws and you accept them, whether you can change it or not. You at least acknowledge that, hey, I have an issue, whether you deal with it now or it's just about being knowledgeable.
If you want to make a change, if you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. But no, seriously, everything starts with self. Thanks for tuning in to Asking for a Friend. You can catch new episodes every Tuesday on BlavityTV. Tell a friend and spread the word. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, fuck that.
I don't want this to look all bunched up. You know how your shit be all
How the
like-
fuck you think I feel? I actually have a gut.
I'm talking about this big old belt sitting here. It's like-
Goddamn, you have accessories and I have meat and skin and shit. What you doing over there? Oh, my